I have a friend who is very reputable. He worked for the state. He went to West Point and said that he got into a like Jason Bourne Treadstone type program. They were recruiting for like CIA or whatever other operations. His dad was a man in black, and his dad would never talk. They had 7 kids. The kids are very successful. His dad was dying, and he said, "Dad, tell me like about what you did." The only thing his dad would say was, "Think about bees." Yeah.
When I was
That is so wild that you said that.
Yeah.
when I was
I'm
reading
sure
your
you-
book, you mentioned bees, and I totally thought of that story.
Yeah. That's literally.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. But I think what he was, I mean, because we continued the conversation, but obviously he doesn't have any more information than that. But we were thinking the way that they communicate and things like that, you know, like perhaps the way they use pheromones or whatever it is.
That is, I mean, that gave me goosebumps. That's so wild because it's this weird note. And it was funny, one of the other podcasts, they didn't have me on, they were just covering it. And they were like, this is a weird story that I've heard some stuff about. And they cherry picked that one little story. It's a paragraph or 2 out of the book. But it talks about when I met this guy in Morocco. And I think there's a more in-depth write-up about it on my website. But this guy, he was quite interesting. He was a friend of a friend. He lived in Tangier. We met at like one of these road stop cafes or whatever. And, you know, I'm all into this kind of stuff. And
Why were you in Morocco?
Adventuring. I was just, you know, I was backpacking. I was doing volunteer projects. It's what I did out of high school. But I was still, you know, had my hobbies. So I was still very much into UFOs and conspiracies and all that kind of ghosts, anything like that. And this guy was like, "Oh, I have a person you have to meet." And this dude, he was an older gentleman. He was kind of squirrely. He was definitely a character. And he told me about how his dad worked for the CIA and that he knew UFO pilots, people who fly UFOs. I was like, well, hell, I want to get me a job on a UFO, please. You know, I hear kind of crazy stories like this all the time because I'm very open to it. You know, people want to tell me about it. So I'm hearing it, and he tells me that the UFO technology is based on bees, honeybees. And apparently this is true. You can double check it. A bee is technically too heavy for its wingspan. Officially, it's still one of these mysteries of science that we don't really know why bees are able to fly like they do and how well they do.
Or a bumblebee.
Unofficially,
Is it bumblebees? Because they're the big fat ones.
Yes, I think
I
it's
think
those
they are
ones.
aerodynamically not good.
Yes, they shouldn't be able to fly.
I think that's
what,
the case, yeah.
Mechanics say.
Yeah.
He unofficially, what I heard from a strange man in Morocco,
Mhm.
was that in their thorax, where their stinger is an anti-gravity chamber, and that they reversed engineered this anti-gravity chamber. They studied this whole concept, and that's what they use inside these UFOs, and they fly around.
I love it.
UFOs are piloted by us, by people.
Honey, how was your day at the CIA? Oh, it was rough. I was gutting bumblebees all day.
I got stung 9 times.
You know how hard they are to catch their anti-gravity. All over the
The
ceiling.
Nicolas
all over
Cage
the
Wicker Man. The bees.